First of all, you realize that you're among the best. Only the best teams participate in postseason.
It's a reward for, you've had a great season, you've won a pennant, and you go into this knowing that you're the 4 teams that are left, and you're going for the gold ring.
It's a big thing. You get all the big boys broadcasting the game. Back in '76, it was Howard Cosell and Keith Jackson and Al Michaels and those guys. Those guys just don't do the game of the week. They do the big games.
Mark Littell delivers high drive. It's to right center field.
That's gone.
It is gone.
Chris Chambliss has won the American League pennant for the New York Yankees.
I always said the World Series is tremendous fun, but the playoffs is total tragedy. It's a tragedy because you are fighting for your life to get in to go to the Big Ten.
You're nowhere if you can't get to the World Series, so the pressure's unbelievable.
3 or 5, you're very concerned that maybe the best team is not going to win this thing. Our season is going to go down the drain. We're not going to make the Fall Classic.
Nobody can name the people that lose, LCSs, and you have to win that to be appreciated as a ball player.
He hacked at the 2-0, now the 2-1. Line drive and a base hit. Just as the score, the tying run. Green to the plate. And he is safe. Safe at the plate. The Braves go to the World Series.
To compete in the playoffs, it was the most unbelievable high I've ever had warming up before a game.
Your adrenaline, it goes a step further. You just wanna let all your emotions go. You wanna play as hard as you possibly can. It's like you're not in control of yourself because you're at such a high that you don't even sleep at night before the game.
With the stress, with the pressure, with the hundreds of millions of people watching and people depending on you to do well, that's when baseball was the funnest for me, and that's what the LCS brought to the American and National League thing.
Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run, and the Cardinals have won the game by the score of 3-2 on a home run by the Wizard. Go crazy.
The greatest league championship series. A look back at 25 years of championship series drama. Baseball's centennial season of 1969 ushered in a new era of postseason play. Commissioner Bowie Kuhn presided as 2 teams in each league battled. The powerful Minnesota Twins represented the Western Division in the inaugural American League Championship Series. The Twins were led by manager Billy Martin. The Twins' opponents were the Baltimore Orioles, managed by Earl Weaver. Game 1, a charged nip-and-tuck affair that was decided in the 9th. Paul Blair's bunt scored the winning run, and the Orioles celebrated a 4-3 win. Game 2 of the series was equally dramatic. A scoreless deadlock as pinch hitter Kurt Moten stepped to the plate in the 11th and delivered a single that scored Boog Powell for the winning run. Jim Palmer shut down the Twins with a complete game 11-2 victory, and the O's completed a 3-game sweep in the best-of-5 championship series. The biggest surprise in that first year of divisional play, the New York Mets. A club that had never before finished above 9th place, captured the National League's Eastern Division flag. The upstart Mets won 100 games in 69. Their opponents in that first ever National League Championship Series, a great hitting Atlanta Braves club that featured Orlando Cepeda and hammerin' Hank Aaron.
1-2 pitch. A high fly ball to deep center, way back, way back. That one's going and hits the flagpole. Hank Aaron now is homered in each game of this series.
But the amazing Mets, known more for their pitching, outscored the Braves 27-15 in the series.
The 2-2 pitch. There's a long drive to right. That one is out of here. Long drive. Goodbye. Done.
After the Mets won the first 2 games, Nolan Ryan pitched the final 7 innings of Game 3, giving up only 3 hits. The Mets completed a series sweep as the 22-year-old Ryan closed it out.
There's a little roller. Good. The Mets are the National League champions. The New York Mets have turned in one of baseball's most unbelievable stories.
The climax of which was a World Series 5-game triumph over the Baltimore Orioles to become one of the most unlikely champions in baseball history. In 1970, Earl Weaver's Orioles returned to the American League Championship Series, showcasing a unique blend of power with 6 homers and a .330 team batting average in 3 games. Baltimore used only 4 pitchers in the entire series and displayed that trademark defense. In 1970, the Orioles swept the Twins, and then in '71 captured their 9th victory in 9 championship series games when they swept the Oakland A's. Charlie Finley's battling A's rebounded in 1972 to face the Detroit Tigers in a toughly contested 5-game series. The A's won the first 2 games, but the Tigers managed to fight back after a free-for-all in Game 2.
Alvin Harris has had quite a day. 3 hits, 3 times up. They're shorting up with the corners on him, and he is hit by a pitch ball.
The thrown bat cost Campy a suspension for the remainder of the series. The momentum shifted back to the Tigers, who won games 3 and 4. The A's showed their aggressiveness on the bases in Game 5.
The runners are going, and Freehand throws through. Here comes Jackson on the way home, and he is there's the 10 run. And Jackson is hurt.
A key run that spearheaded the A's to a 2-1 victory, propelling them to the Fall Classic. Reggie Jackson was lost for the World Series because of a hamstring injury suffered on this play, but Oakland still knocked off Cincinnati in 7 games. Meanwhile, the National League Championship Series in 1970 was the first for rookie manager Sparky Anderson. Sparky and the Reds, however, came up big, defeating the Pittsburgh Pirates with a 3-game sweep.
Swung on a ground ball at Hill. He has it. He'll flip it to May. The Reds win the National League flag. And the celebration breaks loose. A pickup for Sparky Anderson. Up in the air goes Sparky as the Reds win the National League flag.
2 years later, the Reds and Pirates battled again. This time, the Pittsburgh Pirates were the defending world champions, anchored by the great Roberto Clemente and feared slugger Willie Stargell. The Reds countered with Pete Rose, home run king Johnny Bench, Tony Perez, and Joe Morgan. The '72 Championship Series was to be a classic.
That was a great feeling because at that time, I don't think people realized how good Pittsburgh was. Oh, they had a great club. We had a great club. It was something. These were 2 giants meeting each other.
This dramatic series came down to the last of the 9th with only 3 outs remaining in the Reds season.
It came to the 9th inning, and we were down by a run, and I'm on the on-deck circle leading off the inning against Dave Justy, one of the great right-handed relievers in history, basically. And people were hollering in the stands, Johnny, Johnny, and somebody said, "It's your mother." And I turned around and I looked at her and she said, "Hit me a home run." And I sort of glowed. I thought, "Mom, I wish it were that easy, and I wish it weren't Dave Justy." But the change hit in the air to deep right is called by Al Michaels. We'll live on.
1-2. The wind. And the pitch to Bench. Change hit in the air to deep right field. Back goes Clemente. And the fence. She's done.
When Johnny hit that home run to right field, and everybody, everybody said, "Well, here we are." And then I got a base hit and posted around for me, and he scored on the white pitch, and that was great. Went to the World Series.
The stretch. And the 1-1 pitch to McRae. In the dirt. It's a wild pitch. Here comes Foster. The Reds win the pennant. Bob Moose throws a wild pitch, and the Reds have won the National League pennant.
They paralyzed me. I couldn't even go onto the field. I couldn't do nothing. I was totally stunned by this. And I don't take anything away from the World Series Oakland. They beat us in 7 games, 4 games to 3, beat us all by 1 run. I don't take anything away from that. But the Pittsburgh Pirates were the strongest club we met.
In '73, Yogi Berra's Mets were considered big underdogs, but pitching proved the key against the Reds. Cincinnati was held to 8 runs in the 5-game series, and the Mets continued their amazing play. The Reds' frustration came to a head in Game 3.
Ground ball hit down to first base. Milner has it, throws to Buddy Harrelson, 1 to first, double play! And a fight breaks out. A fight breaks out. Pete Rose and Buddy Harrelson, both clubs spill out of the dugouts, and a wild fight is going on.
Well, I popped up a little bit in Cincinnati. I made a silly statement that the Reds looked like me hitting. I didn't think it was all that bad. I was kind of putting myself down a little bit, but I was also putting them down. Then I heard that they were going to come after me and all that, so I figured that was it right there. And when Pete hit me after I'd already thrown the ball, I got mad.
What that amounted to, as far as I'm concerned, is 2 super aggressive people trying to fight their way into the World Series, playing as hard as they possibly can. How many times do you think in my career that I have knocked a second baseman or a shortstop down trying to break up a double play? Umpteen times, but when it happens on national TV and there's something said to one another and you grab each other or something like that, there's a big deal made out of it.
The Mets took a 2-game-to-1 lead after shutting the Reds down in Game 3, thanks to a complete game gem by Jerry Koosman. The Mets were anything but supermen and lost Game 4 as Bud Harrelson's nemesis, Pete Rose, hit this 12th-inning homer to spite the Boo Birds at Shea and boost the Reds to a 2-1 victory. But in Game 5, Tom Seaver and the Mets prevailed.
Doug McGraw gets the sign, goes into the motion. Here's the 2-strike pitch. Swung on, hit on the ground towards first. Milner has the ball. Looks to McGraw. It's over. The New York Mets have won the pennant. The New York Mets have won the pennant. The New York Mets have won the pennant, and this is a wild scene.
The Mets had truly pulled off a miracle of miracles to become National League champs. But the celebration was doused by the A's, who defeated the Mets in a 7-game World Series. Oakland's postseason dominance continued in 1974, but in '75, the battling A's ran into the Boston Red Sox. Carl Yastrzemski and the Sox swept Charlie Finley's club, which would bow out of postseason play for the last time in the '70s, as the Sox swept the series, capturing their first pennant since '67. Meanwhile, in the senior circuit, the Reds swept the National League Championship Series in '75 and '76.
1 ball and no strikes on Griffey. Underwood with a slow come down to the belt. He throws. Griffey swings. Slow chopper right side. Here comes Concepcion. And the 1976 pennant belongs to the Reds. Pandemonium down on the field as the Reds have scored 3 in the 9th inning and have swept the Philadelphia Phillies to move into the 1976 World Series.
Back in the American League, Yankee Stadium was thrust back into the limelight as the Bronx Bombers unveiled a bright future akin to their brilliant past. A rivalry unfolded between the Yankees and Royals. Starting in 1976, Kansas City would play some of the greatest championship series games in history against New York.
You played the Yankees in '76, '77, '78, and you lose to them all 3 times in great series. I mean, just real, they go down to the last game, the last inning, almost all of them. Fights, me and Greg Nettles getting in a fight at third base that one day, who before the game and after that game were very, very good friends. But that's what the LCS did. It made a rivalry between the New York Yankees, the whole city of New York, and the whole city of Kansas City. Hated each other for that period of time. And it got to the point where the players hated each other. and you would do anything to win.
We knew that obviously they were very tough opponents. I mean, every year they were tops in their division. Over the years, we'd had little spats, you know, with brushbacks and things like that. They were a very aggressive ball club. McRae, Brett, all those guys slid very hard. You know, good solid baseball. We went after each other pretty good.
I remember one time Lou Piniella sliding in third base. I was 5 feet from the base, and he slid in, and he tried to kick me with the spikes. Didn't even have the ball yet, but, you know, that's how we played. Hal McRae sliding into second base and knocking Willie Randolph out in the center field and laying on the guy, telling our guy in third, go ahead and score, I'm not going to let him up. That's how we played, and it was good, dirty, fun baseball, and that's what the LCS brought to the American and National Leagues then.
In '76, manager Billy Martin cinched victory against Whitey Herzog's club on a cold October 14th night during Game 5 of the American League Championship Series. The signs appeared right for New York as it led by 3 in the 8th inning. Yankee fans anticipated a celebration, but the Royals had 2 on, and the batter, George Brett.
George has always been a good hitter in Yankee Stadium. I mean, this was his place to shine, and he always seemed to be ready to shine when we went to New York.
High drive, hit to right field. Home run. It's gone. There it is. The ball game is tied.
Brett's dramatic homer off Yankee reliever Grant Jackson sent the crowd into a stunned silence. Brett and the Royals had a second life, but in the bottom of the 9th, Chris Chambliss prepared to bat against hard-throwing Mark Littell.
You know what he had. He had a hard fastball and a hard slider, and he was not tricky. He didn't have anything to try to fool you. He was a pitcher who would challenge you. I can't say I was thinking home run because I probably wasn't. I usually don't hit home runs when I think about home runs.
Mark Littell delivers high drive, hits it right center field.
That's gone.
It is gone.
Chris Chambliss has won the American League pennant for the New York Yankees. A thrilling, dramatic game. What a way for the American League season to end.
I just remember just jumping up and down and trying to make a path for Chris to home plate because people were just swarming the field, and it just dawned on me that maybe this won't count if he doesn't make it to home plate. And I was a youngster at the time, and I just was thinking all kind of crazy things.
Went into the clubhouse, and everybody on the team was scared that, you know, did you touch home plate? And I said no, because it really wasn't. It was just a mob of people there. 2 cops and I milled through the mob, and we walked through there and touched an area that used to be home plate. The plate was gone, of course. Nobody knows I did that.
The 1977 American League Championship Series also ended in dramatic fashion. The Yankees trailed in Game 5 until the top of the 9th. Whitey Herzog's club lost the lead when Willie Randolph delivered this sacrifice fly. And the Yankees snatched victory away from the Royals as the go-ahead run crossed the plate. A 3-run Yankee night spelled disappointment for Kansas City yet again.
Bouncing ball, Nettles goes to Randolph, 1 over to first. In time, double play, the ball game is over. The Yankees win the American League pennant. And with their joy, Patek is down along the first base line, head down, I'm sure in tears.
I remember Freddie got spiked pretty good by Reggie Jackson and was just laying there, and the blood was gushing, and they taped him up, and he kept on playing. And Freddie was the guy that hit in a double play to lose the game. And Freddie, you know, his leg obviously was in a lot of pain, limps back to the dugout, and he just sits there. And for who knows how long he sat there. That is a great photo of a man 34, 35 years old, what a game means to a person, to show his emotions like that on national TV.
Freddie Patek and the Royals fared little better in '78 as Kansas City faced a Yankee club led this time by Bob Lemon. After a split in the first 2 games, George Brett dominated Game 3.
That pitch is hit high in the air and deep to right. It is gone in the upper deck for Brett.
I thought we were cruising along pretty good. My first at-bat, I hit a home run in the upper deck in right field. My second home run hit a home run almost straightaway center.
Brett hits it well again. Rivers turns his back, goes back. It is gone. Brett is 2 for 2.
Nobody ever accused George Brett of having that kind of consistency of power.
My third at-bat, I hit a home run to right field and a slider down and away, and and just went out and golfed it. Yankee Stadium, you don't have to hit it, 395, 420 feet for a home run, especially to right field.
George Brett hits it to right field. Is it 3 in a row? Yes! Incredible!
What a performance!
Yet despite Brett's homers, all off Catfish Hunter, the game remained a close one until destiny called in the 8th.
We were seesawing back and forth, and then probably the most unlikely candidate to hit the home run to beat us was Thurman Munson.
Thurman stepped to the plate to face a right-hander brought in to face him, Doug Bird. The Yankees trailed 5-4.
Munson hits it high, hits it well to left. Wilson going way back, way back. It is. Oh! The damaged man. You're getting everything, ladies and gentlemen, in this ball game.
Thurman hadn't hit a home run, from what I understand, in 85, 90 games that year. He was so beat up, he could barely get in the catcher's stance. Every time a ball would go in the dirt, it would take him 30 seconds to stand up. You could tell he was playing on one leg. And of all people to do that to you, Thurman, but it was a great tribute to how tough and strong he was and what a competitor he was, because there was no reason in the world that he was capable of hitting a home run, but he reached back for something special, and he did it.
Thurman went 3 for 4 that day, and the Yankees won 6-5. Then in Game 4, the Yankees closed it out.
Fly ball, left field, Gary Thomason makes the catch. The ball game is over, and the Yankees win the pennant for the 3rd consecutive year.
And won the World Series for the 2nd straight year.
Welcome to the 1977 League Championship Series. Introducing the National League Eastern Division champions, Philadelphia Phillies, and the 1977 National League Western Division champions, your Los Angeles Dodgers.
Those are always great series, 77 and 78. It always came down to us and the Phillies. For some reason, we knew that we could beat the Phillies, no matter during the course of the year what the series was. I believe one year the Phillies beat us handily, but when we got to the playoffs, we always seemed to come out for the best. They're always great series, always great games. Anything can happen.
With the series even at 1 game apiece in 1977, Game 3 was a memorable battle with more than its share of close calls, including this disputed play at home plate. A 2-0 Dodger lead was short-lived as Bert Hooton faced a second-inning collapse. Unable to find the strike zone, Hooton fell prey to a Philadelphia madhouse.
3-2 to Christensen, 2 outs, bases loaded. Low ball 4, he walked him to fourth in a run. Well, that's the intimidating influence of Philadelphia fans. They can hurt an opposing team just for the noise level that you hear. Low, he walked him and forced in another run. Boone scores. This game is tied.
3 straight walks for Bert Hooton. Unusual for him. He has good control.
This is a part of the home field advantage at Veterans Stadium. These fans are alive. It's only the 2nd inning. He forces in another run. 3 straight runs forced in by Bert Hooton, and here comes Tom Lasorda. This will be all for Hooton.
Hooton left the game with a final show of frustration as Philly fans reveled. Philadelphia carried a 5-3 lead into the 9th. Reliever Gene Garber retired the first 8 batters he faced.
Change up, ground ball, second base should be 2 up. That's 2 outs.
It was 2 outs in the top of the 9th inning, and I put Davalillo into pinch hit for Yeager.
A drag bunt, it's a beauty by Davalillo.
Then I put Manny Mota in to hit for the pitcher.
Fans are shouting defense. What an incredible crowd here at Veterans Stadium. The 2-strike pitch, fly ball deep left. Luzinski going away back, and this ball is trapped by Luzinski. It's a double for Manny Mota. Gets away, coming in to score Davalillo. It's now a 5-4 ball game, and this game not over yet.
In just a few minutes, what had appeared to be a certain Phillies win hung in the balance, and on the shoulders of speedster Davy Lopes.
Here's Davy Lopes, game on the line. Ground ball off Schmidt to Boa. A throw. Yes! No! Not in time! This game is tied, and we have an argument.
You know, to be honest with you, if he had called me out, I couldn't argue. But it was so close, I can't see where everyone could say, well, he definitely was safe or he definitely was out. If you ask Boa today, he'll probably say he definitely was out.
I got rid of the ball exceptionally quick and threw to first, and to this day, Davy Lopes is out. If you slow it down, watch it in slow motion, the ball did beat Davy.
I saw Boa the following spring training. He didn't even say hi to me. The first thing he said, you were still out. You were out.
That play's still talked about in Philadelphia, and it's called the play.
That seemed to be the momentum change for the Dodgers, and it kind of put Philadelphia in a precarious situation, and something I don't think they ever overcame.
With the score tied, Lopes advanced to second on an errant pickoff throw from Garber. Garber's last chance at redemption, Bill Russell.
2 outs, 9th inning. Lopes is running a base hit to center field, and Davy Lopes is going to score, and the Dodgers have taken a 6-5 lead in the 9th. What a comeback by the Los Angeles Dodgers.
The Dodgers miraculously won 6-5, needing one more victory to close out the series in 4 games. A steady downpour and the pitching of Tommy John ended the Phillies season. A devastating setback that had a carryover to the championship series in '78.
What happens after 2 years is you start getting labeled that you have a good team, but you can't win big games. And you expect things to happen, negative. And believe it or not, if you think negative things will happen on the baseball field.
Game 4 in '78 was one of the most exciting in championship series history. With a score of 3-3, Phillies reliever Tug McGraw sailed through the 9th. But in the 10th, with 2 outs, McGraw walked Ron Cey. He was now faced with the challenge of pitching to Dusty Baker. What followed was the improbable.
Baker hits it into center field. Maddox coming in and drops the ball. Cey will have to stop at second. The Dodgers have the pennant at second base. And 2 out. Bill Russell, the batter. The 1-0 pitch. He's in the center field for a base hit. Ron Cey being waved in. It's all over. And the dip by Maddox. The Dodgers win the pennant again.
I'm proud of the entire organization. Everybody works so hard all year long. I love them. This is the only place to be in the Fall Classic.
The Dodgers lost to the Yankees. As for the Phillies, their chance would come in 1980. The Philadelphia Phillies returned to postseason play in 1980 to face the Houston Astros in a National League Championship Series that'll be long remembered.
Well, I remember, I don't want to remember. That was probably the most grueling 5-game series I've ever been involved with.
4 extra inning games. I don't think any LCS has ever had that. 4 out of the 5. The way the crowds were reacting and the adrenaline was flowing constantly. I think everybody was probably a foot off the ground for a week straight.
The drama, the excitement, the play after play, pitch after pitch, everything being on the line made that playoff as memorable as I've ever had, and of course I think one of the best in baseball history.
It was exciting, you know, it was almost nerve-wracking. You know, if you had a weak heart, you couldn't take that series.
The series moved to Houston after the team split the first 2 games in Philadelphia. The Phillies found themselves handcuffed in Game 3 by the pitching of Joe Niekro. For 10 innings, Niekro turned Philly batters aside, allowing only 6 hits and no runs. The game remained scoreless through 10 innings. A tense nail-biter that wasn't settled until the bottom of the 11th when Denny Walling's bases-loaded sacrifice fly scored Rafael Landestoy with the game-winning run for Houston. Game 4 of the series was a test of sanity.
It was a 0-0 game. It was the top of the 4th. Blake McBride and I guess Manny Trio had gotten on base hits, and Gary Maddox was up. I thought they might be bunting. I had thrown a pitch, Gary Maddox inside, trying to check to see what he might be doing. And then I seen that he wasn't bunting in that first pitch, so then on the second pitch, as I recall, I threw another fastball inside, and he took a full cut.
Back to him, he short hops, and he forgets where the buttons are. Oh, I don't know whether he caught it or not, if he short hopped it, and now we're going to have an argument. Just a moment. Did he short hop it or did he catch it? If they go back to second base, they got a triple play, depending on if he caught the ball.
Now this is something.
Doug Harvey and Ed Fargo, two of the senior umpires in the National League, having the discussion. Harvey was blocked out. He's out.
It's a
triple play. And the inning is over. Here comes Dallas Green.
We have seen everything in this series.
I do not believe it.
The umpires, after there was time called, gathered together, tried to review what they seen and what they perceived to see.
None of the umpires really had a good view of it. The guy behind home plate was blocked, he claimed, and couldn't see it. The first base guy didn't see it. Nobody really saw the play.
Well, the replay was inconclusive. It really was. I mean, I was amazed. All the different replays showed that they really couldn't tell whether he caught the ball or not.
And Dallas Green is enraged.
I kept screaming and yelling, trying to get somebody to realize that this was a key play of the game. And we even went to Chubb, who was in the stands at the time, to try to settle it. For some reason, they came up with a double play, and none of us have figured out how they came up with a double play.
You know, I still to this day don't know what happened or how they made the ruling. You know, to me, the ruling was wrong, but it was, I believe it was Doug Harvey saying, well, let's get this and get it as fair as we can. Forget the rules, we'll get it as fair as we can.
After a 15-minute delay, the game finally resumed. Scoring 3 runs in the top of the 8th, the Phillies pushed ahead 3-2. But this one was far from over as Houston's Terry Poole stepped to the plate in the bottom of the 9th with the tying run on second.
Ball is drilled to the right side. It drops in front of McBride. Here's the runner turning for the plate. Here's the throw.
The never give up Houston Astros come back. And look at this crowd.
The Phillies were shaken, but in the 10th showed true spirit.
Hit down the left field line toward the corner. It's bouncing off the wall. Fielded by Cruz. Here comes Rose around third. It'll take a perfect play. The throw to the plate gets away from Busch. Rose scores.
The Phillies scored yet again to defeat Houston 5-3 and tied the series at 2 apiece. The deciding game, Game 5, was also a back-and-forth battle.
It's a fair ball down the line. Pujols with his sore foot, hammering around third. Here's the throw. Pujols coming to the plate, and he slides. He is out. Ground ball, trio over. And high. He can't make the play. Throw to the plate. They get it. Up the middle, that's a base hit. Here comes Maddox. Here comes Walling. They've got a play at the plate. The throw is not in time.
I've never really ever heard noise. I was talking about the noise in the Astrodome, but I've never heard noise like that in my life, anywhere, anytime. I mean, it just rattled the rafters. You know, we went up 5-2 and looked like Ryan pitching well. Looked like you're going to wrap it up.
But with Nolan Ryan pitching, the Phillies mounted a remarkable rally.
That's a little looper, and it's past Reynolds, and Boa's on with a single. Here's Boone with Boa on first. Back off the pitcher's glove. There'll be no play.
That's the break they needed to keep this thing going.
2 on, nobody out. Top of the 8th inning. The bunt down the third base line. Cabell slipped, and Ryan can't make the play. Cabell was trapped at third.
Ryan would walk the last batter he would face, Pete Rose, to make the score 5-3. The Phillies would score 2 more to tie the game at 5, bringing series MVP Manny Trio to the plate.
Curveball down the left field line, base hit, going to the corner. Run scores from third. Phillies get the lead. Ball's loose in the corner. Here comes another run, and over to third goes Manny Trio. The Phillies have scored 5 runs in the 8th inning.
It's one of the greatest comebacks you will ever see in baseball.
But that 2-run Phillies lead was short-lived because in the bottom of the 8th, the Astros scored twice to tie the game at 7. With pressure at its peak in the 10th, Gary Maddox batted with a man on third.
Gary swings. It's a base hit. Poole overruns it. Run scores from third. Give Philadelphia the lead 8-7 in the top of the 10th.
A one-run lead that proved to be the Phillies' ticket to the Fall Classic.
The windup by Ruthven. Here's a punch shot to center field. Maddox racing over. He catches the ball. Phillies win the pennant. The Phillies win the ball game 8-7. They go to the World Series for the first time in 30 years.
One of the most emotional championship series in history, and sweet retribution of sorts for Gary Maddox, whose era in '78 proved costly.
You never quit.
I tell you what, I dreamed of this since I'm 5 years old. I swear to God I did. And I didn't know how I'd act. It's the greatest feeling in the world. It's unbelievable. I never thought I'd get this keyed up, but we battled. We battled the heck out of them. They got a good ball club.
Obviously, it was a great, joyous moment for us because we had finally gotten over the hump as a team. You'll remember the Phillies had won in '76, '77, '78, but really never got the whole thing done. They didn't get to the World Series. Well, this was finally the opportunity to go to the World Series, and a great, great feeling for our ball club.
In 1980, the Royals bemoaned the misfortune of having to face the Yankees yet again, for the 4th time in 5 years.
I didn't want to play them. I was hoping somebody else won. I was hoping Baltimore or Toronto or somebody else would beat them because we couldn't beat them. We proved that in the past.
We felt like we had, a mental edge with them because we had beat them, prior. We knew that when we played these guys that they were going to come after us. After beating them the first couple of years, to give them even more incentive to want to, knock us off the block, and we've always seemed to stand in their way.
When you know that you're facing this team for the 4th time, you want to beat them, the fans want you to beat them. Everywhere you go in the city, people are saying, we know you're not going to let them beat you a 4th time. So everybody felt that pressure. Everybody, you come in the locker room, guys were kind of within themselves. Everybody was trying to gather themselves together. You didn't have a loud, boisterous clubhouse at that time because everybody was focused. We knew what we had to do, and that's what we went out to get accomplished. And the key we felt was Gossage making a difference in the bullpen. So we were really playing 7 innings against their 9 innings because we were really scrapping hard to have some sort of a lead late to keep him in the bullpen.
The Royals won the opener on a complete game from Larry Gura, a 7-2 victory that fans hoped would set the tone. Game 2 at Royal Stadium proved a much tighter battle. Starter Dennis Leonard clung to a 3-2 lead when in the 8th, in what would be a play to remember, the Yankees had Willie Randolph, the tying run, on first with 2 outs, and Bob Watson at bat.
The 1-2 pitch to Watson, line drive, base hit, could be trouble in the corner. Wilson over to chase it down, plays the carom. Randolph rounding third, they're waving him home. Here comes the relay from Brett. He is out! Perfect execution by the Royals, and we go to the last of the 8th with the Royals leading by a run, 3-2.
I remember when the ball was first hit, putting my head down and just going like gangbusters. I knew I was going to score because I had done that before, but everyone gets on Mike Ferrara about the play itself, and I don't think I even saw Mike Ferrara. I was going. I just knew that I was going to score. I was excited about the opportunity to score the run, and as it turned out, I think he overthrew the cutoff man. George Brett made a good read by stepping up, catching the ball, and threw a strike to home plate, and it was a bang-bang play.
Kansas City closed it out to take a 2-0 lead in the best-of-5 series. The Royals' number had seemingly come.
We had won the first 2 games in Kansas City, and I really thought if we lost Game 3, we would lose it all. But they would come back and sweep us because they had a very good team that year.
The series seemed far from over in Game 3 when the Royals made a pivotal mistake. Kansas City's momentum unraveled when the Yankees took a 2-1 lead, setting the stage for a Royal nightmare. Goose Gossage took the mound in the 7th with a man on and 2 outs. After an infield hit, Gossage prepared to face George Brett.
George had been our best player over the years in the playoffs. He gave us our best chance to win. And Gossage was very, very dominating pitcher. He came in snorting, throwing 95 miles an hour, breathing fire, falling off to the side of the mound.
I remember playing there in 1976 and 77 and 78 when Charlie Lau was our hitting coach. A lot of times late in the ball game when it was a home run situation, he would say, move up on the plate and try to pull it. If you get it in the air, it's a bonus. And that's exactly what I was thinking about. And I knew he'd be throwing anywhere from 95 to 100. He threw a fastball, 98, it was clocked 98 miles an hour, and it was down and in a little bit. And that's the year I hit 390, so I think I was swinging the bat pretty good.
Set by Gossage, a high drive, hit deep to right field. It is gone! Three-run home run by George Brett into the third tier of Yankee Stadium, and Brett has taken the Royals and put them in front here in the seventh inning. The Royals now lead it 4-2, and a stunned crowd here at Yankee Stadium in New York.
Running around the bases, the one thing that I remember most about that was how quiet 56,000 people could get in Yankee Stadium. You could hear a pin drop when the ball went in the upper deck, and it was one of those where I could have ran around the bases 3 or 4 times. I was so happy, but it was a great thrill of my life.
After 4 tries, the Yankee jinx had finally been snapped.
Quisenberry, 3-2 pitch. A call, strike 3. That's it. The Royals go to the World Series as they beat the New York Yankees 4-2 here at Yankee Stadium.
It was a relief to say, finally, we've beaten these guys. We've beaten the best team, the best reliever, and we did it with our best, George Brett.
But the Royals had spent their might as they dropped the Fall Classic to the Phillies. Canada made its first appearance in a league championship series in 1985, the year in which the format to capture the flag was changed to a best-of-7 series. Bobby Cox's Blue Jays put the Royals on the brink of elimination, taking a 3-1 series lead. Had the old format remained, the Jays would have advanced to the World Series, but the door was still ajar for Kansas City.
That wasn't the best team we had on paper by no means, but it was the closest group of guys I've ever played with. And for some reason, we just wouldn't die. People told us with a month to go in the season, we were down by 7 games to the California Angels, that we had no chance to catch them, and we caught them. People told us we had no chance to beat the Blue Jays, and after losing the first 2 games, a lot of us didn't think we could, but we did.
In Game 5, the Royals received a brilliant pitching effort from Danny Jackson with a 2-0 shutout. The change in Royals' fortune continued in Game 6. Manager Dick Hauser found the cards stacked just right when George Brett came to bat, 5th inning, score tied at 2.
In the air to right center. Back goes Mosby, along with Barfield. Gone. The 3rd home run of the series for Brett, all of them off Doyle Alexander.
It was Brett's record 9th career homer in championship series play, and the Royals won to tie the series, setting the stage at Exhibition Stadium for Game 7. In a crucial at-bat, veteran Jim Sundberg up with the bases full.
In the air to right, Barfield going back. Look out for the wind. It hits the top of the fence, and I believe it's still in play. Yes, it is. 2 runs will score, 3 runs score. It's a triple for Sundberg, and Kansas City's lead goes to 5-1.
Poised for victory, the Royals were on the verge of completing a remarkable show of courage.
And this may do it for the Royals. For the 2nd time in their history, they're on their way to the World Series. They had a long way to come back, and then they had to win it right here at Exhibition Stadium, where Toronto had one of the best home records in all of baseball.
The home team won the first 4 games that year of the National League Championship Series between the Cardinals and Dodgers. Game 5 at Busch Stadium would unfold as one of the all-time classics. With the score tied at 2 in the 9th, Whitey Herzog looked on as Dodgers reliever Tom Niedenfuhr had a 1-ball, 2-strike count against light-hitting Ozzie Smith.
This one has extra innings written all over it, doesn't it?
Ozzie hangs over the plate. He's not the long ball threat from the left side. Smith corks one into right, down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy.
That was probably one of the biggest moments, I would think, in playoff history. Considering the fact that Ozzie had never hit a home run left-handed, for him to come up and drive the ball to Busch Stadium for a home run, believe me, before we all got thrilled, we were all shocked first. I'm not kidding you, and he'd probably be the first to admit that himself.
When you have a power pitcher like Niedenfuhr, you know, I don't think that he's going to try and be too tricky in a situation like that. He's trying to get outs, and, you know, I've never hit a home run left-handed, so he felt that he could get me out in there, and that's why he came in.
Ozzie's dramatic home run put the Cardinals ahead in the series 3-2. More drama was set to unfold back in Los Angeles for Game 6. The Cardinals found themselves trailing in the 9th as the Dodgers hoped to send the series to a deciding 7th game. What followed was drama at its best.
2 out. McGee goes to third. Smith goes to second. A base hit could give the Cardinals the lead. An out gives the Dodgers the victory. It all boils down to this. Jack Clark is the hitter.
I remember Tommy Lasorda going out to the mound before Jack came up, and I said, oh, he's going to walk Jack. He's got that. And it's Slyke and myself behind him. Neither one of us haven't done a darn thing. So he's definitely going to walk Jack.
And I was having probably my best year of my career, and I was the guy on the team who hit the home runs in those situations. And so, you know, as a rule of thumb, you don't let that guy beat you.
First base is open. The Dodgers, though, are going to pitch to Clark, and the fans are coming to their feet at Dodger Stadium.
First of all, the time before that, I walked Tommy Herr intentionally to pitch to Jack Clark, and Niedenfuhr struck him out. This time, on deck was Andy Van Slyke, a left-hand hitter. And I'm not going to put that guy on to pitch to a left-hand hitter.
Jack was coming up in that inning, and he says, you watch. He says, I'm going to take him deep. He's going to come at me with the same stuff, and I'm going to make him pay for it.
It wasn't high, it wasn't low, it wasn't inside, it wasn't outside. It was just right over the middle part of the plate, and I've always had good bat speed, and I was having a good series right then, and I was ready, and when I got it, I just hit it perfect.
Swinging a long one into left field. Adios, goodbye, and maybe that's a winner. A 3-run homer by Clark, and the Cardinals lead by the score of 7-5, and they may go to the World Series on that one, folks. You talk about a redeemer.
To see a guy hit a 3-run homer to win a game and put a team into the World Series, I think that moment will go down as a historic one in Cardinal history because so many people reacted in the same way when he hit that home run. It was just an incredible feat.
As soon as I hit it, I knew it was gone. I didn't even want to watch it because I figured if I didn't watch it, that would bother Tommy even more. So I figured I wouldn't watch it. I'd look at my teammates and show him up a little bit, take my time around the bases and let him have to gnaw on that a little bit long, and all the Dodger fans.
That in itself was as exciting of a moment I think I've ever been part of, and at any time in participating in any sport anyway. I mean, he hit it, he didn't need to look at it, and he just wanted to share in the excitement with his teammates more than in himself.
But the Cardinals would fall to their cross-state rivals in a 7-game Fall Classic. Not even Disney could produce a more compelling story than the '86 Championship Series between the Angels and Red Sox. A series that began as a horror show for Boston. Prospects for a turnaround looked bleak at best.
Ripped into left field down the line for a base hit. Darren around third coming in, and the Angels go up 3-1.
One victory away from a World Series. One loss from elimination. California met Game 5 with great anticipation, and veteran manager Gene Mogg sensed his 25-year World Series wait was near an end.
To center field, and deep, and carrying, and gone! Just off his glove for a home run. Henderson nearly made a spectacular catch as it deflects off his glove, and the Angels lead.
Boston trailed by 3, and it seemed fate was with the Angels. But the fickle finger of fate turned in the 9th.
To left field, left center, and deep. Pettis goes back, leaps, and she's gone. And it's 5-4. What a great series. Woo.
After a hit batsman, Donnie Moore was called on to stop the rally. Needing only one more out, Moore faced reserve outfielder Dave Henderson with a tying run on.
A game I probably shouldn't have been in. Tony Armas got hurt, and I came in about the 7th inning. And I was a backup player and only had like one at-bat the whole series. Donnie Moore had a distinct advantage over me, and I was just up there trying to survive. A guy trying to make contact.
In there, there's 2 strikes away.
You know, you look around, there's 64,000 people yelling and screaming, and people are getting ready to run down on the field. I wasn't as calm as I looked.
1 and 2.
This guy throws me a few pitches, and I work it to 2-2, and see 5 or 6 pitches, you do have a chance when you're a major leaguer. And when you're 6'2", 220 pounds, you put the ball in play, sometimes it goes out of the ballpark.
To left field, and deep, and down he goes back, and it's gone! Unbelievable! You're looking at one for the ages here.
It was pretty intense. Watching that ball go over, it's like we brought back a moment. We took something from out of the past. Those are the things you dream of when you're little kids. You don't expect them to really come true that often, but in that case it was.
I had no idea it was going to go out of the ballpark, or I would have showboated a little bit at the plate. So I got halfway down to first base and the ball went out of the ballpark, and that's when you know, I lifted in the air and did the Joe Carter 360, and you know, you have a blast. And we just kind of go back to feeling like a kid when that thing happens. You know, you talk about home run in the 9th inning. We've all done it as kids, and I actually got to do it in the game.
The Red Sox took a 6-5 lead. But the sense in the bottom of the 9th was that this one was far from over.
Hit sharply by Barrett for a base hit. Evans can throw. Jones is coming home. The throw home is there. No, he's safe.
The score was 6-6 until the 11th.
I come up again in a tougher situation with, you know, bases drunk and 1 out, and he's trying to get me to, you know, get that double play ball, and I hit a sacrifice fly, and that was a big AB too.
Deep enough to score a run. Pettis makes the catch. Baylor tags. Red Sox lead 7-6.
Then Calvin Schiraldi felt the pressure, as did his wife, in the bottom of the 11th.
Popped up. Here comes Stapleton. Next plane to Boston.
After we won that game, we knew we were going to win the thing. When California had to go back to Boston, there was no way we weren't going to win that series. And, you know, we blew them out both games.
The Red Sox are trying to go from last rights to the World Series. And they do.
The first celebration that I ever had, really, guys hugging each other and guys crying, and, you know, Boston fans that have waited so long to get to the series, you know, the champagne, and we're finally going, and I'm part of it.
Now the hitter is Will Clark. He's 0 for 3. Swing and a bouncer. This could be it. Davis runs to the bag. Game is over. No hitter. Astros win the championship. Mike Scott has just thrown his first career no-hitter, and the Astros are the National League's champions of the West. What a way to win it. Holy Toledo!
Perhaps the most dramatic clincher ever, as Mike Scott and the Astros seemed atop the world. A foreshadow of the excitement that would follow in the championship series, as Scott was again the focal point in Game 1.
Everybody up. It's 2-2 with 2 out. The tying run at third base in the top of the 9th inning for the Mets. Mike Scott trying to win it right here. Struck him out. That's strikeout 14. It ties the National League Championship Series record. The Houston Astros have defeated the New York Mets by a score of 1-0 on a 5-hitter by Mike Scott.
The next day, Bob Ojeda countered with a masterful performance for the Mets, holding the Astros to 1 run, a complete game victory that tied the series at 1 game apiece. In New York for Game 3, the Astros forged ahead with a 4-0 lead. But the straw that stirred the Mets took matters in hand, giving the Astros quite a shakeup in the 6th.
And Strawberry is up facing Nepper. It is now a 4-1 ball game. Strawberry hits it high in the air to right, fast to the wall. It's gone. The score is tied.
But New York's celebration seemed short-lived when the very next inning the Astros regained the lead. Wally Backman led off the 9th, hustling out a bunt, and the Mets had the tying run on base. The raucous crowd anticipated a rally, and then with 1 on and 1 out, reliever Dave Smith prepared to face a young Lenny Dykstra.
You never want Lenny Dykstra to come up to the plate, put the game on the line, because he's going to do something positive for his team. He's probably one of the best clutch hitters in baseball when it's a big series like that. I mean, this guy thrives off of pressure, and every time we were playing him in the series, I was just hoping, you know, well, don't let Lenny get up there with the game on the line, because you know he was going to come through. He was going to do something positive to help his team win.
Lenny Dykstra, the man they call Nails on the Mets ball club, is waiting. Now the pitch. And a high fly ball hit to right field. It is fairly deep. It's way back by the wall. He did it! It's a home run! A home run! The Mets win the ball game. Dykstra hits a home run. Then Dykstra hit a home run. This ball game is over.
He just has that great ability to maintain his concentration. I think a lot of people, they talk about going to another level. I don't think they go to another level. I think that what happens in LCS and World Series play, people tend to not be able to perform as well as they can. Lenny's always had the ability to play as well in tough games as he has throughout the season.
Then in Game 4, the great equalizer Mike Scott rose to the occasion, keeping the Mets' potent lineup off balance with another dominant outing. The attention in the Mets dugout centered around scuff marks on the baseball. But the former Met walked off with another victory, this time a complete game 3-hitter. Game 5 featured a classic pitching matchup between a pair of fireballers, Dwight Gooden and Nolan Ryan, but neither would stay around for the decision of this pitcher's duel that remained deadlocked in extra innings.
Bottom of the 12th inning. 1 out. 1-1 tie. Charlie Kerfeld and Gary Carter dueling here. Up the middle, base hit. Backman turns third. Hatcher's throw, no play. Easy for Backman. Carter wins it with his second hit of the series, and the Mets win the ball game in 12-2-1.
And it was a big 3-2 advantage for the Mets. The series returned to the Astrodome for Game 6. Needing a victory to force a 7th game, the Astros bats responded early with a 3-run first. Bob Nepper pitched brilliantly through 8, holding the Mets at bay. As the game wore on, defense and pitching seemed the key for Houston, as the Mets garnered few base runners. The Astros held New York scoreless into the 9th as Nepper took the mound.
Mets have had only 2 hits. Game 7 would be tomorrow night. The pitchers would be Ron Darling and Mike Scott.
We were very fortunate that we were able to come back and win Game 6 because we had not done anything with Mike Scott the first 2 games that he had pitched. And had we not won that game, it would have been real difficult to beat him because he was the best pitcher in baseball that year.
Davey Johnson's club finally broke through in the 9th on a Mookie Wilson single over the glove of Bill Doran to score Lenny Dykstra. New York went on to tie the score at 3. Wally Backman batted in the 14th with a chance to break the tie.
Mets looking for the biggest hit of the year right here. And a line drive base hit. Going into right field. Strawberry will try to score. Here's the throw coming to the plate. He scores. The Mets have taken the lead.
But in the bottom of the 14th, the die-hard Astros fought back.
Billy Doran was leading off the inning, and if he got on base, I was going to be bunting. he got out, and I just went up there and I said, you know, I got to get on base. I figured if I could, you know, get the first, I was going to steal second. And the first pitch he threw me a fastball inside, and I hit it foul. It was out of the ballpark, but it was foul.
Ball is hit hard to the left side, but it's foul.
I said, that's the only fastball I'm going to see, you know, because I'd hit it so hard. And then I just worked the count. It got to 2 or 3-2, and he threw me another fastball, and that's probably the farthest ball I've ever hit in my life, and it went out of the ballpark.
Now the pitch on the way, at a high fly, deep to left, down the line. It may go foul, waiting. It hits the screen. Tie ball game, home run.
I was just hoping it was being fair. I knew it had enough distance because when I hit it very well. And I was just hoping that it would stay fair. And when I saw it hit the top of the net, you know, I was happy.
Hatcher's heroics would for the moment stave off elimination. But the Mets came back to break the tie in the top of the 16th with 3 runs. In the bottom of the 16th, the Astros rallied yet again and trailed 7-6. The crowd reached a fevered pitch as the Astros fought for their lives with the tying and winning runs on base. Kevin Bass faced Jesse Orozco, 2 outs.
In that situation, I was starting to get a little bit tired. I was on my 3rd inning, and I threw a lot in the first 5 or 6 games. So we had a little meeting on the mound, and it was Keith Hernandez and Gary Carter, myself, Davey Johnson. We're all saying, Jesse, you don't have a good fastball anymore, so you're going to throw breaking balls. And I'm thinking to myself, yes, that's all I want to throw. We just went breaking ball after breaking ball on Kevin Bass, and that was my last resort. They were going to go with me, win or lose on that situation.
This is heart-stopping baseball, pulsating baseball. Nobody has sat down in the last 4 or 5 innings. Incredible. Now the stretch. The pitch on the way. Swing and a miss! Swing and a miss! Struck him out! Struck him out! Mets win it! The Mets have won it! They're in the World Series.
That's the only game that I've ever played in that at the end of the game that I couldn't talk. I was so overwhelmed with emotion that we were going to the World Series and fatigue from the concentration for 16 innings, every ground ball, every at-bat meaning something. Knowing that tomorrow we have to face Mike Scott, that we have to do it today. And I've never felt that way again. The World Series games, Game 6 was exciting and tremendous, and Game 7, you know, wonderful, but that Game 6 and that playoff was by far the most emotional and most physically spent I've ever been.
The 1988 National League Championship Series featured the New York Mets against an underdog Los Angeles Dodgers club that had lost 10 of 11 games to New York during the regular season. Yet Tommy Lasorda held a trump card in the form of the seemingly unhittable Oral Hershiser.
Jokingly, I said, hey, that's not Bulldog pitching, that's God. God came down from heaven, went into his body, and was a pitcher for one time. He was unbelievable. And to see him break Don Drysdale's record of 58 2/3 scoreless innings was just unbelievable. This guy had a tremendous season.
In the series opener, Hershiser kept New York at bay, giving him 67 consecutive scoreless innings. However, the Mets sparked a clutch comeback in the 9th. Darryl Strawberry's double broke the drought, and also Hershiser's streak, as Greg Jeffries scored to make it 2-1. Oral was removed from the game in favor of Dodger relief ace Jay Howell. With 2 men on and 1 out, Howell faced veteran catcher Gary Carter.
I can't understand why the outfield is this deep with Gary Carter hitting. They're playing deep because they're defending against the Gary Carter of 5 years ago and his reputation, not this year.
Line to center field, and with the outfield deep, Shelby can't make the catch as Strawberry comes in to score, and McReynolds is being waved in the throw to Socha. Socha blocks the play, but without the ball, and McReynolds is saved. And with the Dodger outfield deep, it costs them.
The Mets went on to win the opener thanks to Carter's heroics. The series was knotted at 1 apiece as the teams convened at Shea Stadium for Game 3. Rain had forced a one-day delay, making Dodger manager Tom Lasorda opt to start his ace, Oral Hershiser. On a wet and rainy field, the craftful Dodger hung tough. With help, that came out of left field.
He hits it down the line in left field. Gibson having trouble and somehow makes the catch. One for the all-time highlight reel right there. Kirk Gibson slipping and sliding and somehow unbelievably making the catch. I didn't think he had a prayer as he was going down.
But trouble with the slick turf was mild compared to the problems that followed as Jay Howell was nabbed in the 8th.
Davy Johnson asking to look at the ball or the glove of Jay Howell.
And they want the crew chief, Harry Wendelstedt, to come in as well. Joe West is the plate umpire. Now Lasorda wants to know what's going on.
I came out, he had some pine tar in his glove, and it was really black and sticky, and he used that to get a better grip on his curveball, and that was his main pitch. I came out and asked the umpires to look at it, and they took that away from him and helped us win that ball game.
After considerable debate, Howell was given the heave-ho, depriving the Dodgers of their top reliever. The Mets overwhelmed the 3 Dodger pitchers that followed, scoring 5 runs in an 8th-inning explosion, and the Mets celebrated a 2-1 lead. New York carried that momentum into Game 4 as Darryl Strawberry connected against starter John Tudor, and the Mets appeared on the verge of grabbing a 3-1 series lead. With dignitaries present and the Mets pitching dignitary Dwight Gooden on the mound, New York appeared within striking distance of victory. But in the 9th, with 1 on and no outs, Dodger catcher Mike Scioscia delivered the turning point.
Well hit drive deep to right field, way back. It may go out of here. It's gone. It's gone. The game is tied up. The Dodgers have tied it up.
Doc had just thrown an unbelievable 8 or 9 innings, and Scioscia caught up to him finally in the 9th to tie the game. I think it was the first ball that left the infield off of Doc in maybe 6 or 7 innings in the game, and he got the home run. And then Gibby in the 12th goes deep, and I go in to put my spikes on after the home run. Everybody back there who's been out of the game, been pinch hit for, says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm going to the bullpen because we might need somebody." They said, "They're not going to use you." I said, "Well, you never know." And Tommy actually brought me in relief after pitching 7 innings the night before, and Kevin McReynolds was the hitter.
Broken bat looper, shallow center field. In comes Shelby and makes the catch. And when you write the story of this game, where in the world do you begin?
After splitting the next 2 games, the lead story was the Dodgers' leader, the starting pitcher, in the finale.
I come back in Game 7, and Davy Johnson came out and said, "You know, there's no way I'll be rested enough, and I'm going to be tired." And fortunately for me, we went out there, we got some runs early in the game, and I cruised to a shutout.
It has been Hershiser's night, and he looks in now to make what he hopes will be his last pitch. Fastball, got him looking.
1988 will be a great amount of memories for me. It was a team that had a lot of hustle. It was a team that believed in themselves. And it was the old cliche, you know, it's not always the strongest man who wins the fight or the fastest man who wins the race or the best team who wins the game. In most cases, it's the one who wants it more than the next. We wanted to be the world champions of baseball so bad that through just sheer determination, we were able to accomplish that feat.
Led by manager Tony La Russa, the Oakland A's returned to postseason prominence in 1988. The hard-hitting A's launched a 3-year run in the championship series and compiled a mighty high 12-1 record. Dennis Eckersley set the tone in '88, saving 4 games against the Boston Red Sox, relinquishing no runs while giving up only 1 hit in the series sweep. In 1989, the A's fleet-footed catalyst against the Toronto Blue Jays was Rickey Henderson, who devastated the Jays with 8 stolen bases in 5 games. But it wasn't only Henderson's speed. He also took a stroll.
This will get a run home, maybe more. Mosby going back, looking up, out of here, and into the black seats, the hitting background. There aren't many leadoff men who can launch one like that.
While Henderson took the spotlight, another Oakland A did all he could to steal the show.
Canseco bids for the second homer of the inning. If it's fair, he's got it. And it settles into the upper deck.
Oh, my goodness.
50,000 people here, and I've heard libraries louder.
Eckersley kept them quiet. Yet despite their dominance in championship series play, the A's won the World Series only once in 3 years. For the Pittsburgh Pirates, 3 was also a lucky number in 1990, 91, and 92, as they celebrated 3 National League East titles. Yet their fortunes took a dramatic swing for the worse in the championship series. In 1990, the Pirates lost to eventual world champion Cincinnati. In 91, Atlanta's spectacular pitching silenced Pirate bats for the second year in a row as the Braves celebrated a victory in Game 7. Yet the following year's rematch against Atlanta proved to be an even greater disappointment.
In 92, I mean, it was unbelievable. We were down 3-1, and to come back and have a 2-0 lead in the ninth inning, I thought it was a really remarkable accomplishment. Nobody will ever remember it because we just didn't, we didn't get that final out in time.
That final out in Game 7 was viewed upon by all of baseball as perhaps the most gut-wrenching conclusion of any championship series in baseball history.
Pittsburgh leads 2-1. 1 out and the bases loaded in the bottom of the ninth. Hunter, Little Looper, leaned is there and makes the catch. The runner tags but will not try it. 2 down in the bottom of the ninth.
So it all comes down to a guy who got some big hits for the Braves last year.